Well, good evenings, Broncos country. Welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. We're brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We're sponsored by Morgan Trinkets, and we're here for you after yet another loss by the Denver Broncos. I say that yet another loss. It's only our second, but man, it hurts. It hurts, and it feels like it's been going on too long. But don't worry, we're here for you. We're going to break it all down. Maybe give you some answers. Maybe give the Broncos some answers, hopefully, if they're tuning in, listening in as well. But I'm not doing it alone, man. I'm here with two other horsemen, making us a 3 of 4 horsemen. Hopefully, Jody can hit us up in the comments. But I want to start off with Mr. Trevor Rocket Man Salzman. How you doing tonight, Trevor?
Doing well, Keith. Excited to got a chance to watch film a little bit. I know we're discussing backstage a little bit, and I think we have a little bit of different opinion on what is the problem with this offense and whatnot. But there's definitely some positives to take away as well. There's a couple players that I think are playing outstanding up to this point, and so I'm excited to break down the positives and the negatives of this team, and hopefully we can kind of shine some light on this team a little bit and get a little bit positive going forward. I know there's a lot of negativity right now with this team, but I think it's important to remain positive. This is a young team, and there's a lot of growth still, I think, from on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. Before we even jump over to Albert, I'll just say, keep in mind that, we played a couple of very tough-minded, defensive-minded coaches and teams so far. Not that it's going to get any easier, but just know what you've been up against as of lately as well. Up against it, man, I'll always take Albert by my side. He's the Mile High Dutchie. How are you doing tonight, Albert?
I'm doing very well. It's nice and cozy here. It's 87 degrees today, so I think a lot of people will be jealous about it, and some people may not be, especially the polar bears.
There you go. Well, I'll be honest. Nice, drizzly, rainy day. It allowed me to break out my new Buff sweatshirt today, and it was all right. It was all right. The Buffs, can be represented well after their Saturday. That being said, we got to jump over to this Broncos team. A Broncos loss, and like I said, right off the bat, behind the scenes before we went live, I want to get into the coaching because it seems like it's the talk of the town around the Mile High City. A lot of criticism and scrutiny heading towards Sean Payton as of lately. But before we head into all that, I got to say hello to the posse because the posse's coming in. They're coming in strong, and I got to recognize them. Starting off with Paul, who jumped in right off the bat and said, "What's up, Judge? Ice Cream Man," which I think is kind of funny. Rocket Man and Dutchie. Kenny, bro, because the Giants stink too. So, Kenny, if you're out there, I'm sorry, but you got recognized mainly because we're in Stinkville with you with an 0-2 team with the Giants and the Broncos. Paul's giving us a Mile High salute. And a Mile High salute of sorts. That's Michael Ronquillo coming in, dropping stars right off the bat, giving us 100 stars and just giving us his love, like Michael Ronquillo always does. Man, we love you, Michael. Thanks for just coming in here. If you have anything, by all means, drop it in here. Graham's waking up saying, "Good morning, fellas." And he says, well, maybe it's evening. So, and Michael saying, "Good evening, Keith, Albert, Trevor, go Bo Broncos." Evening. Jen says, Michelle Knoppers, an evening to you, Michelle. I think I missed you all together on our last podcast, and I never like to miss Michelle. So good to see you and good to talk to you there. Roy's coming in. He says, "Hey there, horsemen and the posse. It's the game over yet? The game was that dismal. He says he fell asleep. Oh no, Roy, I'm so sorry, man. It wasn't anything exciting. I'll give you that. It wasn't anything that was necessarily keeping you awake. I get you there. Ernie May says, "Go Broncos country only." Hello, Keith, Dutchie, and Trevor, and hello to you, Ernie Mays. Ernie Mays thinks that me and Trevor may have cursed this Broncos team. Maybe we just shot it a little bit straighter than others at times, and I'm sorry if that hurts sometimes because it does feel like, sometimes you put things out in the universe. They can come to fruition. I said that we need to be positive and be behind this team, and we're going to be talking a lot about that as we move forward as well. So, Graham, we're going to win 2 games this year. Ooh. Graham, please come on, buddy. 2 games in. Let's see if we can build. But And then Paul saying, did you see PJ Locke after he got that huge penalty on that helmet to helmet? He was yelling at Coach Payton. I saw it. I think he was yelling, but I think he was yelling in frustration of the penalty that he received. You know, if I'm yelling at my coach, that's a bunch of crap that what just happened behind me as I'm walking off the field because that shouldn't have been a penalty. That's okay. I don't think he's yelling at Sean Payton saying anything, but you know, mainly that if I had to guess. But moving along, I want to get this one in. Phil McLaughlin came in. He's also dropping stars. He's saying, good evening, Keith, Rocketman, and Dutchie. I am losing faith. Going to take time for Payton to get play calling down and Nix to develop. What a great segue, man. I think we could do it right there. I got it. Well, one more. Kenny's just coming in saying, good evening, fellas. There's Kenny right there. So best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. My friends at the DBR. Wow. Such kind words, Kenny. We appreciate you so much. Everyone, check out the K&K Sports Show. Numerous podcasts going on all the time. I'm guaranteed they'll have a flavor for you. Check out K&K. But going back to what Phil dropped stars on, guys, I think I'm going to start off with Albert here. He says he's losing faith, and he says it's going to take time for Payton to get the play calling down and for Bo Nix to develop. I think that's right up your alley, what we were talking about off screen, Albert. What are your thoughts about the play calling that you saw in these first two games, specifically this last one, and how much time it's going to take for Payton and Nix to develop?
First, foremost, don't lose faith because the Ravens are 0-2, the Bengals are 0-2, the Colts are 0-2, the Titans are 0-2. Let's see. Of course, the Panthers are 0-2.
Hey, we play them, so that's okay.
but
no, I get you.
We are among some big playoff teams from last year's, and they're all 0-2. So there's the Giants are doing as well as the Broncos. So no, there's nothing to lose faith on. They're gonna turn it around, and it starts with coaching. First and foremost, if you have to call a play and it takes you 25 seconds to formate, to bring it up, then you don't have time to come out of the huddle and overview the play, what is going on. There's no time for that. The play calling has to be different. They have to minimize the text of what you're going to use or however you're going to use it, so that they have a little bit more time even to adjust. And right now, I think that is one of the biggest problems we have. If you see those plans that Sean Payton is holding, how many plays are on there? 40, 50 maybe? And how long are those plays to call out? I think that's where it needs to start.
Yeah, the play calling, the amount of time as they're running up to the line of scrimmage. You know, I'm not going to sit here and put all the blame on one particular spot, but you have to agree with Albert, at least in part. You know, this is unfortunately a thing that, you know, wasn't that long ago that we were counting down the play clock, and it doesn't seem like it's gotten much better since we've been counting down the play clock. So, you know, if we're not getting to the line of the scrimmage, as Albert's saying, you know, your ability to go out there, check the play, get into something a little bit better becomes a lot more difficult. Trevor, what have you seen from this coaching? You in agreement with Albert and what he said so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was always going to be a process, I think, with Sean Payton, because, again, you're bringing in a rookie quarterback. So I think he's trying to kind of see what he's got with this offense. Again, this team, the amount of dead money that they're eating, I don't think it's their ideal team that they can put together. They can only put so many pieces together from where they're at financially. Against Sean Payton's decision to move off of Russell Wilson, but and Justin Simmons and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, I agree with Albert. You know, this team, the line of scrimmage, I don't understand. I mean, it's not helping your rookie quarterback at all when you're getting up to the line of scrimmage, and that's what Albert was saying. And you have 5 seconds before the ball snapped. There's no time to make adjustments at the line of scrimmage. And then when you see a team stacking the box and you're running the football, well, where's the running backs? How successful is that play going to be? Probably not very successful. So I'm agreeing with Albert. It's not just that, though. I think it's also some of the decision making. The onside kick has been one of those kind of ideas thrown out there that, why did Sean Payton go against that? The field goal that could put you up or give you some points for this offense. There's multiple things that I think are going wrong, but I think there's multiple leaks to this offense and why we're not seeing a successful offense, because the defense up to this point has kind of been the sturdy part of this football team up to this point, but there's multiple leaks to this offense. I don't think it's just coaching, but coaching definitely has to be better moving forward if this team wants to win games.
Yeah. The coaching needs to improve, and this is where, I think we've elaborated on that point of getting up to the line of scrimmage and, this play calling, or, as I saw, in our chat, Albert was shared a piece from Troy Rank where he said, if you go to Waffle House, they have 60 items on the menu. If you watch those food shows, the first thing they say is, give me your 10 best. And that's what we're going to do. At some point, that maybe should be the same mentality as far as what we're doing with Bo Nix. Now, don't get me wrong. I saw some repeat plays that we went out there when I watched that all 22, some successful repeat plays. If you look at the receptions by Javonte Williams, that was a repeat play that they did several times in the game and got great production out of it. So more things like that, but with the opportunity then to go up to the line and check, I get you need that time. The thing that I would really like to see, and I know that they struggled with it because they didn't necessarily put it in the playbook in the week one, and I think they had the exact same struggles in week two, is there's virtually no pre-snap motion. And what does that mean? That means that with no movement before the ball is snapped, then you don't know if they're playing man, you don't know if they're playing zone, you don't know where the blitzer's coming from. That makes it very difficult, not only for your rookie quarterback, but this offensive line as well, to try to determine how they're going to go ahead and block, whether it be run or pass. And we haven't seen very good production from run or pass as of yet. And I think a lot of that can stem back to the coaching and the way they're calling these plays. Give your opportunity, give your quarterback an opportunity. We saw that later in the game when they spread it all the way out. And then that makes it a lot easier to try to determine what type of coverage you're getting into. And we saw success when they started doing that. Give your quarterback opportunities. And that starts with the coach and what the not only what plays they're calling, but how they're calling them. Just a little bit of motion can make all the difference in the world, between success and non-success. So before we jump into some of the other topics I know that we wanted to get to on maybe why this offense is struggling, I want to get back into this chat that's blowing up. We appreciate you guys jumping in here and being a part of the posse, coming in here with all your comments and questions. Like Michael Ronquillo that was pointing out earlier that the Carolina Panthers have now already moved on from Bryce Young, at least temporarily. Andy Dalton will take the helm there. We appreciate Pearl's coming in here. She's saying just a little late, but hey, Pearl, we love you. Thank you so much for jumping in here. Doesn't matter how early or late you are. Michelle Knopper's coming in here and says, I keep hearing from different commentators that his Bo is starting well and not to lose heart. All of the big QBs had their slow starts. Elway, Manning, well, Eli, even for that matter, Elway, Manning, to name a few that were part of Broncos country. Yeah, there's going to have to be some patience, not only in the development of just one player, but in the development of this team, as we kind of are in the cap doghouse, and had to take that into consideration when we had to put this roster together. Can't go out there and spend, 10, 15, $20 million a year on a wide receiver, because you don't have that. You can't go out there, and as we saw a comment earlier, I wish we got Saquon Barkley, in free agency. Saquon would have been great, but Saquon comes with a price tag, and we were not in that sweepstakes, not this year. Looking ahead in the future, maybe we have that possibility. Got to say hello to Patrick Wilsey, who comes in here and says, "Aloha, Dutchie, bearded one and Rocket Man." And aloha to you, Patrick Wilsey, and Lion Coffee. That's keeping me powered tonight, man. I can tell you that. 100% Kona blend, freshly ground beans, Lion Coffee, man. I'm telling you, if you're a coffee fanatic, Lion Coffee is the place to be. You got to check them out. So, what else do we got? I just wanted to hit a few more here real quick. So, Michael brings up a great point, and I think we need to hit this right off the bat, or not right off the bat, because we're about 15 minutes into the show right now. But losing tackle Quinn Bailey hurts really bad, because he would have been the backup with tackle Mike McGlinchey going down. Mike McGlinchey, for those who don't know, those who may be just tuning in to what happened on Sunday, Mike McGlinchey went down, did not come back. He is now out 4 weeks on IR with an MCL injury. So straining that knee, and now Mike McGlinchey, one of our highest paid offensive linemen, needs to take the bench. And as Michael Ronquillo pointed out, with Quinn Bailey going down as well early and being out for the year, that was our major swing tackle. That was our second string main tackle, whether it be left tackle or right tackle. So now it's going to start to fall down. I've heard Alex Palczewski possibly being out there as the latest one. But man, it's not going to get any easier when top paid offensive linemen go down as well. So I said that we wanted to jump to a few different things with this offense and why they may have sputtered. And I think that might be a great segue as well. For me, I sat there and I watched this offensive line through all 22, and I saw them absolutely struggle. I'm telling you, if it wasn't Ben Powers, it was Quinn Miners. If it wasn't Quinn Miners, it was Wattenberg. If it wasn't Wattenberg, it was Bowles. These guys took turns failing up front, and it didn't matter if it was the pass blocking or the run blocking. And if you look around the league, and I hear Javonte needs to break more tackles, well, you need to be able to get into a hole, in order to try to break a tackle. You're not breaking through a wall of offensive linemen. It just doesn't happen. There needs to be some accountability to this offensive line and the way they're playing. It is absolutely horrendous, and it's playing itself out. Like I said, Bo Nix is under pressure whenever he goes back in this game. It was bad. There was pressure coming towards Bo Nix more often than not. Even if it was late pressure, even if it's just a little bit of side pressure, it was very rare that he had a nice, clean pocket to stand in and deliver the ball. Now, does he have opportunity to step up, set his feet, show improvements in areas like that? Yeah, but boy, a nice, clean pocket every now and then would have been nice. Some lanes that Jaleel McLaughlin, that Javonte Williams could run through. Man, that would be nice to just see a guy get 4 yards downfield before he gets contact just once, because it's not happening. And this offensive line is losing the battle across that offense in the trenches all the way across. It was a bad game from just about everybody on that offensive line. And that's my take. There's only so much you can coach. There's only so much you can coach. The players have to play. It's a player's game. Those guys got to go out there and they got to win some battles every now and then. There's only so much you can do. I hear it all the time from players. Hey, it's not my job to judge what the game plan is. It's my job to execute it. And that's right. Sometimes you just need to go out and execute, even if it's not the best game plan. And what I saw was poor execution from that offensive line. So that's my 2 cents on that side as well. So Trevor, thoughts on the offensive line play? I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than just the offensive line. I think that, yes, you can argue that they're inconsistent, but this is an ESPN stat this is backed up what I've seen on film, at least anyways. I know, again, we can have different opinions, and that's fine. This is what it's great. It's great discussion. But run block win rate, the Broncos are 12th in the NFL at 73%. And power and pass block win rate, they are 61%, 14th in the NFL. So pass blocking, that's where their concern is for me. Run block win rate, to me, again, I looked at the film. And I looked at the film in Seattle as well when they played. I think there's running lanes. I think it's more of a Javonte Williams problem than it is. I mean, I'm not saying the offensive line's been perfect in there. They're the top 5 offensive unit right now. What I'm saying, though, is getting 39 yards between all the running backs and Bo Nix being your leading rusher, there's an issue, I think, in the running back room. I think Javonte Williams is the guy that, again, let's go back to week 1, 36 plays, 52% of the time he's on the field. Week 2, 40 plays, 66% of the time he's on the field. So, again, and we've seen Tyler Beatty break a couple. I mean, he was in there. When he was in there, there was a running lane, and he was there, and he got through. Go ahead, Keith. One time?
No, I was just saying one.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something. No,
go right ahead, buddy. Sorry.
So for me, no, I think I want to see some shakeup in that running back room, because here's the thing. You're not going to you're not going to change all of your offensive linemen right now out. So you got to admit there's got to be some sort of mix up. It's a lot easier to, in my opinion, to change out a running back and mix things up a little bit, or maybe lessen Javonte Williams' reps than to change your offensive line, in my opinion. So I think that's where I would start, would be, and Sean Payton kind of alluded to this in his presser on Monday. He said, we need to get Jaleel McLaughlin more reps. Now, I know it's Sean Payton. He said that about getting Marvin Mims more involved as well. I get that, but I just think I want to see how that looked before I'm ready to just blame it all on the offensive line, because there's multiple blame. There's a lot of blame to go around with this football team. To me, I think it's more of a running back issue, and I would just try to shake that up a little bit and see where this team would go from there on. Because something's got to change. Something's got to be shooken up with this offense, because right now it's not working, and it wouldn't work last year with Javonte. So I love Javonte. I want him to come back, and I want him to be successful. But you want Bo Nix to be, put Bo Nix in the best possible position to be successful as well. I just think, and Javonte Williams, one last opinion here. I think he's better in the passing game than I think he is in the running game. So I just think shaking up the running back room a little bit may change things at least a little bit more than what we're seeing right now.
Young Tyrone, thank you for tuning in over on Facebook. He says, try the offensive line, not blocking good enough so Bo Nix can be successful. Wide receivers not getting separation. The run game, non-existent. So young Tyrone's a little bit more on that offensive line side of things. Albert, Trevor's a little bit more on the running back side of things. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is more of a running back problem? Do you think Javonte is just not going to get back to being the Pookie we all remember? Or do you think this lies a little bit more on the offensive line? Or what's your opinion across those two positions right now?
Right now, I think it is. It also has to do a little bit with how you develop the play. Right now, it is with the running game. It has been very predictable. 8 out of 10 was pretty much straight through the middle. And don't forget, we faced 2 really, really good defenses. And the Pittsburgh Steelers is probably the toughest defense that we will see the entire year. And that has to do with it too. And the moment they saw one running back in the field, they were stacking the line. So they were lining it up, and there was no game of change play to change it. And I think that's where the biggest problem is: change of game, making a change in the play calling, and do something different. But that didn't happen, and I think that is where the biggest problem is.
Very good. Yeah, it's also frustrating for me because if you're not getting the ball beyond 7 yards in the majority of your passes, which we continue to see, that defensive front gets to just sit there and just wait on you and dare you to go 10, 12 yards. And, this is not helping the running game either. It's all comes together. Like you said, I want to say, I don't want to use the word blame. I want to say there's opportunity. There's opportunity for this offensive line to start playing better. There's opportunity for maybe a different running back to come in and give a change of pace by, again, having a little bit different skill set, and switching the roles of a McLaughlin to a Javonte Williams, or giving more touches to a Tyler Beatty, who did end up looking pretty good in his limited touches on Sunday. And Albert, I touched on it. You touched on it. This play calling, and how it's done and the type of movement that they put in and how quickly they can get to the line, there's multiple opportunities for this offense to get better. The nice thing is I think everything that we talked about are solvable. These are solutions that are not that big to that are not not too big to overcome. We can get better offensive line play. I think that just goes back to Zach Strief. It goes back to Sean Payton and what they do between now and the next game. Making a switch up at the running back position, that's an easy one. That should be very, very simple. And as far as limiting the playbook or making it simpler or just getting it in and out of the in and out of the huddle quicker with the way that we're calling our plays, that can help this offense so much by getting to the line of scrimmage with 15, 12 seconds still left on the clock. As one person I heard say, when you give TJ Watt time to line up and he knows you only have 4 seconds before it goes off, he's teed up and he's ready to go. He's ready to go from the get. When he has to sit there in a stance through 14 seconds and not knowing exactly when you're going to hike the ball, whole different situation with a guy like TJ Watt. So play calling definitely needs to come into play in the way that we get better as well. So guys, before we get yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, before we go on to the defensive side, is there anything more on the offensive side? And Trevor, sounds like you want to chime in. Is it offensive?
Yeah. No, I just want to chime in.
Don't be offensive.
No. No. Again, I wonder if the coaching staff feels though that maybe their running back room isn't the greatest either. And the reason I say that, Keith, and we brought that up before, Josh Jacobs. Remember they were interested in Josh Jacobs? Well, Josh Jacobs got paid a pretty good penny. And I just wonder, we don't know how much they pursued Josh Jacobs, but I just wonder if they kind of know that the running back room is not where it needs to be. So that's why, and I think I agree. You got to try something new. You're not going to switch out all your offensive linemen. So that I just think a different running back in there, maybe get somebody else getting more carries, and Javonte kind of taking a back seat, maybe being in the passing game, being involved in the passing game a little bit more. I think it may help this offense as well. And that's why I just point back to the Josh Jacobs, one of those top running backs from this past free agency that they were interested in. Maybe the coaching staff has some similar kind of vision as well. But again, we shall see how it ends up turning out.
Yeah, like you said, maybe some apprehension there, just what we actually have lined up in that running back room, especially free agency time before we went out and we did anything in the draft as well. Kind of is maybe telling of what they thought of what was on the roster and what is still on the roster. I missed this one from Phil, so we'll get this. I think I'll let Albert and Trevor answer just really quickly. I'll go Albert first. He says it's pretty clear to me we need to play. We need probably more play action and some RPOs to loosen up that defense. Some run pass options, some play action passes. Albert, does that help out at all?
Absolutely, because like I said, we are too predictable.
Mm-hmm.
We are way too predictable. Defense can read within 5 seconds what is going to happen. And the only play that we really had a big success on was that surprise play. The tip from Sutton to Bo Nix and then lob it over the field. That was a really nice trick play. And that made a difference. But because we were not predictable. And overall, we have been pretty much predictable. But one thing I do need to say is Bo Nix is so much better with getting rid of the ball. If we had Russell Wilson, he would have been sacked 5-6 times this game. And that did not happen with Bo Nix. And I think that is something that we need to realize, that we have a different quarterback who gets rid of the ball, and he is most of the time careful with the ball where it goes. And we have to admit that too.
Wow. I think that's a fantastic point, Albert. I mean, give yourself some little bit of retrospect, you know what I mean? And remember that, comparatively last year, all these incompletions could have been sacks for 6, sacks for 10, fumbles as we're scrambling. We saw a lot of that last year. So be careful what you wish for. We just want to see improvement, and like I said, we're looking for growth. Martin's coming in over on YouTube. He says, I agree with Dutchie. Cousins in Atlanta looked a lot better last night when they didn't face the Steelers, and will look better in a few weeks when we play a lesser, some of these lesser defenses. It might be a few weeks before we see that. I did want to hit this really quick because I saw a couple of comments. Maybe I'll see if I can find it really quick before we jump over to the defensive side of the ball. I want to give my 2 cents, and then I'll let you guys chime in as well. I'll go to Trevor first because I think I just skipped you on saying that you'd be able to answer some questions as well, but I'll go you first. Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, there's a lot of call for them to get more involved in this offense. This is my 2 cents. I haven't heard the best of the best coming out of training camp in the way that these guys performed. And as much as we would like to see little Jordan Humphrey maybe stay on the practice squad and see guys we invested in, from the little bit of tape and the little bit of what I saw, it wasn't very impressive when they were in the game either. So I don't know if necessarily more snaps to Marvin Mims or more snaps counts in the game for Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin help. And quite honestly, it's not like we're throwing the ball all over the place and these guys are missing out on opportunities, because it doesn't seem like we're necessarily getting the ball out and spread around. Cortland Sutton was pretty much non-existent in this game. I'm not sure where Troy Franklin would have landed if he would have gotten more snaps as well. Trevor, your thoughts on, the development of these guys that we'd like to see maybe more of, and, would that help though? Because a lot of people are thinking that Troy Franklin, his chemistry with Bo Nix, maybe that's a solution to getting this passing game going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think those two are the solution right now. Again, when you're becoming one-dimensional on offense, it's really hard to get these guys involved. I think Troy Franklin was always going to be a project, I think, when they drafted him. But at some point in time, I would hope that you would give them more playing time because you invested 2 top 100 picks into both of them. You traded up for both of them. So at some point in time, they need to see the field. I don't know if that's right now. Maybe you highlight a Cortland Sutton, maybe you highlight a Josh Reynolds a little bit, and then after the trade deadline, if those two are two guys you move off of, maybe Mims and Franklin become a little bit more open to, and maybe Sean Payton's a little bit more open to getting them involved within the offense and giving them more plays. But I don't think those two are going to really help a lot right now with this offense. But I mean, again, I'm kind of starting to get to that point where I don't know that how much more hope there is to get Marvin Mims involved, because we've been asking for it for how long now to get Marvin Mims involved in the offense, and it just feels like, and Sean Payton keeps saying, well, we want to try to get him more involved, and it's not happening. Obviously it's something that he's seeing that, in practice or whatnot, that we don't get a chance to see. So I guess we have to trust Sean Payton in his evaluation of this team and try to put the best players around Bo Nix for him to be successful. So time will tell. Hopefully these guys will see the field more. Just probably not right now, and I don't think it would massively, impact this offense, even if they were on the field for a long time.
Last two things, I just want to give 2 more cents on this. The only thing that I can say in maybe planning for this particular game is I think blocking was going to be very key from the wide receivers, and I don't know if Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims necessarily give you your best option or opportunity to be blocking. When you're throwing underneath the majority of the times, you need those guys that can be blocking downfield to get you the 10, 12, 15 yards that you're really trying to carry out on that play. We might see more Troy Franklin, more Marvin Mims. Maybe they are taking those steps forward, but if you are game planning with your personnel, I could definitely see that being the reason that we saw a little bit more of a little Jordan Humphrey, for instance, and obviously a guy like Reynolds and Sutton and stuff like that being out there and being a part of it. I got to get to something fantastic though right now, guys, and that's our amazing sponsor, Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets is your place, your headquarters for Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, and Estate Gold wholesale prices. Once a nationwide company, now just in your backyard. Northern Colorado, Southern Wyoming, they do shows all in that area. They're on Facebook, Morgan Trinkets over on Facebook, so you can shop all their inventory. Just reach out to Pearl, say, Pearl, what do you got? I'm looking for XYZ. I almost guarantee she hasn't. If you're looking for Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, estate gold at wholesale prices, someone who has 33 years experience, they know how to get what you want, and they got it at great prices. Any purchase made over on Facebook through PayPal, $50 or more, shipped absolutely free. If you check them out at one of their shows, she's telling me she has one coming up this weekend. So we'll head on over to Morgan Trinkets, find out where that's at. Upcoming event. Don't want to miss it, because when you go there, all major credit cards are accepted. You walk away with your beautiful jewelry, estate gold, wholesale prices, whatever it happens to be, right there on the spot. So check out Morgan Trinkets. I'll drop the link. Morgan Trinkets, like I said, fantastic sponsor. Thank you so much, Pearl. Check them out and check out their show if you happen to be in the area. If we get that information, we'll send it out as well. But I'll drop the link to the page as soon as we get off here. Guys, let's switch over to defense, because there was a lot of call before the season started that this defense, that Vance Joseph was going to be the issue. But the issue I have is when you only allow the other team's offense to put up 13 points and you lose the game, it's not the defense that seems to be the problem. Let's talk about some stars, because this is one place I think that we can talk about some stars. Albert, what did you like? Give me one star we'll do one star a piece so we don't get a list. Albert, who is your one big star that you liked when you watched the Denver Broncos defense take the field last Sunday?
TJ Lock. He did what was needed, and he did it very well. That one penalty that he had, there's not much he could do about it. If you're at that speed, you're gonna hit, and it happened, and he got penalized for it, and that he got upset about it. Yeah, that is totally. He showed emotions on the field, and I think that is what we needed. We needed emotion, and he showed that really well, and that's why he is my number one player for. Yeah, there's one more.
Oh yeah. If we get back around, and we haven't named it, I'll let you name it out. How's that, buddy?
But yeah, PJ Lock is for me let's call it the most emotional player of the field.
Very good. Let's face it, this is a guy that we knew that would have to step up. This is a guy that we weren't sure would be able to fill the shoes. And right now, especially last game, I think he had a great game. And yeah, getting a little bit emotional, maybe getting this team fired up. Wish we would have carried a little bit more over to the offense, because this defense seems like they've been roaring as of lately. Trevor, who comes roaring out with a star on defense for you?
Yeah, I think this is a guy that I've mentioned multiple times. I thought his borderline could possibly be a Pro Bowler this year, and that's Mr. Zach Allen on the defensive line. I mean, he just seems like, you even just watch film, guys. It's honestly, he's one of those guys that just pops out. Honestly, I mean, he just gets after the quarterback like it's nothing. And I just big fan of Zach Allen. He just, he's that big body defensive lineman that get in there, get after the quarterback and in the quarterback's face. He's leads defensive tackles and pass rush win rates with 10. And so it's just. Wins, I should say. Pass run win rate would be 31%, according to ESPN. So, for me, yeah, Zach Allen. I mean, he just pops off as far as on tape, and for what he's putting up for this defensive line, he's one of those bright spots for this defense that I really like. And great signing. I mean, talk about a guy that we were kind of critical about in the beginning when Draymond Jones ended up leaving. The Broncos. Talk about a guy in Zach Allen who were kind of didn't really know what we're getting with him, but he's one of those young pass rushers that can get after the quarterback, and I think that the sky's the limit for him. And I think that he keeps on this pace. I think there's a good chance he'll be a Pro Bowler this year.
Talk about a guy that, took a leap, in my opinion, from one year to the next in this defense. I think he likes to play downhill, getting upfield, a lot more comparatively to the defensive scheme, and his rushing abilities really shine at that point. His hands are moving all the time. His ability to, just get inside of an offensive lineman and all of a sudden start to cause havoc in that backfield has been phenomenal this year. So, Zach Allen has been the number one voted from the posse, because we have Michael Ronquillo coming in. Pearl coming in, Ernie May is coming in, all in love with what Zach Allen has done so far. Graham says he's a real fan of what our pass rushers are doing. Tough to play against a mobile quarterback, though. Yeah. A few times getting caught inside, when I watch the all-22. It's tough not to do on Justin Fields every now and then because of the type of guy he is and how quick he is to escape. I guess that being said, guys, we could start talking a little bit more on this defensive line as well. We talked about Mike McGlinchey, but unfortunately, John Franklin Myers goes out in this game, did not return with a concussion. Who else did we have go out? Baron Browning. Now that's where I was going because of these pass rushers. Baron Browning ends up going out as well. There's one more. I had the list. I was going to write it down. I missed it. I apologize, but there was one more guy that popped up on the injury list as well. But John Franklin Myers, big part of this defensive line and what's been successful so far. Now, keep in mind, I don't think we necessarily did all that bad because 6 of the 7 possessions in the second half for the Pittsburgh Steelers resulted in a punt. So even when the fact that we didn't have a John Franklin Myers out there, I think that Roach came in and played really, really well in his absence, and honestly was outplaying what I saw from DJ Jones, even though this defense was doing very well. Young Tyrone is calling another one out. Jonah Ellis continues to look good when he's getting his opportunities. He looked good in Seattle, in my opinion. He looked good in this game, in my opinion. So his opportunity to get on the field may be increasing, especially with Baron Browning maybe being out as well. But for me, like I said, I had to give a little bit of a call out on that side of things. My guy, Albert, I don't know if I'm stealing your guy at this point, but Alex Singleton continues to just be amazing. This guy is made up for more mistakes made on that defensive line than I could count. When those guys can't get off their blocks or they were just, getting out blocked, it was more times than not Alex Singleton crashing down and getting the tackle and keeping it to a 5 or a 6 yard gain. He's necessary to this defense, and I don't know what this defense would look like without Alex Singleton. So, like I said, I'm sorry that I didn't. Maybe we can go back if you guys have any big stars on offense. We can go back on the stars on offense, but this defense, in my opinion, you can't ask for much more. Like I said, 13 points, 6 out of 7 possessions ending in a punt for the in the second half for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every opportunity to walk away with a win because of what this defense did, especially this last Sunday. Trevor, I'll go right back down and around. Any more thoughts on this defense? I know we named stars, but just the performance overall.
Yeah, Jonathan Cooper's another guy that kind of jumps out to me. He didn't have the greatest game this game, but he had one of those holding calls on him from Broderick Jones, who was trying to hold him, and Broderick Jones, the left tackle over there, in Pittsburgh, that tackle, and over there in Pittsburgh, ended up getting benched, and I think Jonathan Cooper was kind of a handful for him. So 4 pressures on the year, 2 sacks, 11 combined tackles. So not too bad of a year for Jonathan Cooper. I think he's a guy that, again, when you watch film on this defense, he's one of those guys that sticks out. Certainly in that Seattle game, not as much in this game, but he still was, you can still feel his presence there. Again, it's hard, like Graham said, it's hard with the mobile quarterback like Justin Fields to keep him in the pocket. But I thought Jonathan Cooper's another guy that I think, contract year, it's time for him to step up. Out of all these edge rushers, guys, I'll be honest, Jonathan Cooper is, I think, the best in my opinion. As of right now, Baron Browning, it's going to be a tough injury, but as of right now, for me, Jonathan Cooper is the best edge rusher in this room. He's certainly playing it like it right now. Long season ahead, of course. We're only 2 games into it. But for me, he's one of those guys that stood out when watching film on him, and some of the stats that he has put out there has looked well so far.
Yeah, just watch that edge a little bit more, Jonathan Cooper. Watch that edge a little bit more. Sometimes he gets a little bit angsty to crash down, and especially with a guy like Justin Fields, that can hurt. But he crashed down on a running play one time too that kind of hurt him as well. So Phil McLaughlin is dropping some stars, and he's agreeing with what we heard from young Tyrone, saying he liked Ellis, but he brought up another one that we've questioned, didn't know if would be able to step up. He's liking Riley Moss. Albert, I'll throw it over to you. how have you liked Riley Moss, whether it be this game, which obviously, again, pretty quiet game when it came to the passing game of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But how do you feel about Moss, whether it be the two games combined or even just the Steelers game?
Yeah, I do like Riley Moss. He's getting more and more into the game. He's getting more his feet wet, and I think he starts to fill his shoes, what he is supposed to fill. And I really like what he is doing. Does he have some mistakes? Yes. PS2 had a lot of mistakes this game, so nothing to blame there. So yeah, I like what Riley Moss is doing. I like what Ellis is doing. Cooper, pretty much the entire defense. Vance Joseph, I think, is getting it really well together now, and I think we have to give him kudos for that too. He has gotten a lot of grief, but I think right now he's bringing this defense to a level that, yeah, that might be on par maybe with what we have seen 7-8 years ago.
Yeah. Riley Moss, I think I agree with you. A few mistakes out there, a few things he could clean up on, but it's not like even PS2, one of the top cornerbacks in the league, wasn't out there without faults and without mistakes when it came to Sunday. So, I think what I've seen from Riley Moss so far, you got to be happy. This is a guy that very easily could just be the picked on corner that is finally getting his first opportunity and, need to show up. And he's so far showing up pretty good. Now, on the second side of things, Pittsburgh passing offense is never going to be the most highly dynamic passing offense. So there's still going to be opportunity for him to be challenged in the future. But Trevor, I'll let you have your 2 cents on Riley Moss as well, sir.
Yeah, I think Riley Moss, I agree with Albert and to a degree. I think he's getting his feet wet a little bit. I think it's great to see that he's getting playing time, certainly over Levi Wallace, but just because, again, they need to play some of these young guys, and Riley Moss was a 2023 draft pick, another guy they ended up trading up for. But I think that I want to see more from him, of course. I think that he got targeted. He's getting targeted more and more. In Seattle, I think he got targeted 9 times, 6 completions against him. Again, that was against Tyler Lockett. So he's not going to go up against guys like Tyler Lockett every single week. But, again, talk about a tough matchup, though, for Mr. Riley Moss in the secondary. You have, going into this game against Tampa Bay, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Talk about 2 guys that they're going to have to defend, and he's going to get tested. But you know what I like, guys, more about anything? He's on the field, so he's getting the reps so that he can be better going forward. That's what I'm not. So I don't want to criticize him too much right now because he's still learning. But the fact that he's getting the playing time and so he can grow from this going forward is what I really like seeing from Riley Moss. So don't want to criticize him too much. There's still more learning to do. But I think that he'll continue to get better and be that number 2 corner next to Surtain as we go forward throughout the season.
If we were on Sesame Street right now, I think the word of the day would be opportunity. That's what we're looking for, guys. We're looking for opportunity, and that rolls me right into one of the best in the biz joining the show, not live but through comment, Mr. Kurt Valente coming in and saying, "What's up, boys?" Kurt Valente of the K&K Sports Show. Sorry, guys. But he has a great question kind of leading off of that, because we've been talking a lot about the opportunity that this team has. It's only week 2. But Kurt's already thrown it out there for us. He wants to know, on the trouble meter, 1 to 10, what do you got for this team? Albert, if you had to put, rank this team on the trouble meter, seeing it the pin bouncing around in that little dial, where would it land for you, buddy?
I still think we are. I still think we are 6, 7, because it's just the beginning of the season. Last year, what were we, the first 4 games?
10 being the most trouble, or 10 being the least amount of trouble in your scale?
Least amount.
Okay. All right, let's do it the opposite way. 1 being the least amount of trouble,
Okay,
10 being the highest amount of trouble. You're going with what?
4.
4, okay. Just want to make sure that we're all on the same scale, because I was thinking the opposite direction. So go ahead. Keep going, buddy. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And one thing, I looked up the stats for Singleton. His tackles, he has 20 combined tackles and 13 solos. So
Yeah.
he is quite a tackling machine.
He is, man. He has a nose for the ball. He knows how to get there, and if nothing else, he's always being the guy that's going to be willing to chase down the play at worst case scenario as well. Always seeking that ball. So, Alex Singleton, yeah, absolute star so far again this year on defense. Where are you putting the trouble meter here, Trevor? 4 for Albert. He's not panicking too much. Oh, by the way, we have Roger coming in. He's got a 6.5. We got Pearl coming in. She has a 5. We got, I think this is Kenny over here. He says 8 because the coaching of the Broncos becomes a 10 if quarterback play doesn't get better after the Raiders and the Chargers. Kurt's coming in with a 6. Michael's coming in with a 7. So anywhere from those low 4s that Albert put up to, boy, an 8, maybe even a 10.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Trevor?
Yeah. Man, I think I'm right there with Roger and Kurt. I think about 6.5 is probably where I'd put it, where I'm kind of concerned with this football team. And it's mainly on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, it's just Sean Payton, the coaching has got to get better. I mean, guys, like it's one of those things. It's critical that you have good coaching for a rookie quarterback. And Sean Payton's got to figure it out. I mean, it's just one of those things where he's been in the league long enough. It's kind of unacceptable. He should be one of your more valuable assets to this team because you're paying him $18 million and what you had to give up for him. And just because, he's a pretty successful head coach. But he's starting to become part of the problem. So it's just like, that's why I guess I'm 6.5 right now. I don't want to panic too much right now. We're 2 games into the season. There's still a lot more season to go, but I'm pushing the panic button just a little bit more just because of how bad the offense has been and the lack of adjustments early enough from Sean Payton. I just think he's made them too late into the game. And hopefully he comes, in the pressers and he says, well, we want to see more Marvin Mims on the field, or we need to get Jaleel McLaughlin the ball more. Okay, then let's see those adjustments. I don't want to hear about it. Be about it. So, that's the thing. So, 6.5 is my concern. I think for out of 1 to 10, that meter 10 being the highest.
Trevor's like, don't blow smoke up my donkey, dang it. Jeez. Kenny's coming in. He's saying 8 also because you're starting 0-4. Thanks. Appreciate it, buddy. I already got 2 losses racked up for me. Don't count us out. Yes, Kenny. Opportunity, I'm telling you. Phil's coming in. He's saying, I'm not giving 1. I'm giving 2. Because how about 2 on the defense? No trouble there, but maybe a 7 on the offense, he says. And this kind of leads right into my score. Michael Ronquillo, the Ronk, coming in over on Facebook, says Sean Payton is an old school coach and not a new school coach. I agree with that. I mean, very Bill Parcells minded type of coach, old school type of coach. I was originally going to rank this at 4 because trouble, I think, is a relative term. I didn't have high expectations for this team, like, running to the Super Bowl. So in trouble as far as making a run to the Super Bowl, yeah, they're in trouble as far as that's concerned. But it's in trouble as far as what I expected from this team and where I think they can go. I was originally going to say a 4, but based on what Trevor said, based on what Michael's saying here about our coach, I'm going to raise that to a 4.5 because our coach isn't very open to change. Seems like he's a little bit resistant to change. And that being said, maybe we should bump up the little bit of a trouble meter just a little bit, in my opinion, from that 4 to at least a 4.5. But in the grand scheme of things, I think there's still plenty of opportunity with only 2 games into the season for a lot of things to change and a lot of things to get better. Last thing I wanted to bring up, because Pearl's bringing this up, and because I heard this as well. She says, how about the play calling? I don't know if you guys heard this. I know that this was brought to the attention, I believe, by Chase Daniels when he was talking about the Denver Broncos. All of the play calling during the preseason, when we went undefeated, was done by Joe Lombardi. All the play calling, obviously, since we started the regular season, has now been done by one Sean Payton. And if nothing else, I just, I don't want any of our players out there practicing ice skating only until the day of the game. So why are we practicing not with Sean Payton calling the plays at all in preseason to flip to go to Sean Payton calling plays during the regular season? If nothing else, it's a different voice in the headset. It's a different way you're delivering the plays. It might cause confusion. You have to hear it twice now before you can actually get it out into the huddle. Why are we not practicing what we expect to be doing come Sunday? That's the biggest issue. Now, whether Joe Lombardi should be calling the plays, which some people are talking about, or whether it should be, Sean Payton, I'm not going to argue that point right now. But boy, I'd sure like to practice what we're planning on doing, and what a better opportunity than that preseason when you're talking in Bo Nick's ear. To me, that was kind of dumbfounding. Trevor, I'll get your thoughts and Albert's thoughts on that, and then we'll probably have to wrap up, probably get out of here and get ready for another fantastic Friday show.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Keith. I'm glad you brought this up. I don't understand that at all, especially with a rookie quarterback, and you're trying to play him in position to be the starter, right? You're taking him 12th overall, not to set him necessarily, him being, the age and the experience he's had in college. So why is Joe Lombardi calling the plays in preseason, but when it comes to the regular season, then you're switching over to Sean Payton? Again, that makes no sense to me, and I'm right there with you. It's big time. It's a big time concern because that's less time for your head coach and your quarterback to connect. Make sure you guys are on the same page. And certainly up to this point, doesn't seem like they're on the same page. And this offense is struggling because of it. And they're struggling early on. And by the way, your schedule doesn't get any easier going down the line. So, it's concerning, and it's one of those things where I think it should be asked why. It should have been asked, I think, sooner by the media. It's just like, well, why is Joe Lombardi the one calling the plays? Why aren't you calling the plays? Isn't that what you're here for? Is for this offense to get to be back to being relevant again? It's just one of those things where, I'm not ready to get. I'm not tracked to like, oh, Joe Lombardi's got to be calling the plays here soon. No, I'm not on that track at all. Sean Payton should be calling the plays, but should have been doing it in the preseason, not waiting till week 1 of the regular season to do so.
Yeah, Michael Ronquios came in and said some Broncos media asked him that question, and he said, "I'm not giving out the play calling." I haven't seen that. I can't substantiate that, Michael. I'm not saying that that's not true, but yeah, that's it's just not a good look. Albert, I didn't want to move on from you. Did you have any thoughts on this before we get out of here? The Joe Lombardi, the Sean Payton, who's calling plays when they're calling plays?
I don't care who's going to call the play calls, but instead of calling, this is just an example, some Broncos media asked him the question. He said, I am not giving a play calling. Why not just, are you giving a play calling? Keep it short and simple, and don't make it a complete paragraph of how you're going to call it on the field. I think that is where one of the problems lays, and because you don't have times to adjust, and that is one of the major problems.
Very good. Kenny with that panic meter or that trouble meter up high. He's also putting Sean Payton on the hot seat. I'm not there yet, Kenny. I'm not there yet. I know that, hey, you're not alone out there, Kenny. I'm not saying that you're the only person bringing this up, because believe me, this so far, starting off this week, Sean Payton has been the topic du jour as far as this Denver Broncos team, this Denver Broncos offense. So, he's feeling some heat, but I don't know if he necessarily has that hot seat. And maybe Trevor's hit the nail on the head when he talked about the investment both in draft picks and overall salary that we have in Sean Payton, as far as reasons why it may not be so warm as of yet. So, gentlemen, we gotta go. I can't believe it. I have like all these notes and everything that I didn't even talk about. And, that being said, there's never enough Denver Bronco Roundup podcasts, and that's why we will be back on again on Friday. But before I get into all of that, I guess let's say good night and goodbye, guys. Trevor, what do you got before we get out of here, buddy?
Yeah, again, there's a lot of questions being raised right now, and I think it's important to hold Sean Payton accountable. I'm not ready to hit the fire button right now. Let's fire Sean Payton. I don't think that's going to solve a ton right now. I think, yes, there's some adjustments he needs to make. He needs to adjust to his football team. And I'm sure this was kind of put out there as well. Greg Penner's at the game, and I'm sure Greg Penner usually laughing, kind of joking around. There wasn't a lot of joking around after that one, and I don't disagree with him at all for doing that. Being that this is an offense, this is a guy that you invested in and you traded for, and you give all this money to, and boy, your offense doesn't look very good right now. In fact, that's a big reason why you end up losing this game, and have been losing games, it seems like, lately. So, we shall see what happens. Again, there's still a lot of season left. Firing Sean Payton now does nothing, I think, to really help this team going forward. You're invested in him, what you give up to him. You got to give him the rest of this year, and I think going into next year, maybe midpoint next year, we can kind of talk about, hey, maybe there's that opportunity to fire Sean Payton then. But no, I wanted to thank everybody for being in the chat, being active, and all the questions, all the stars, all the support. You guys, honestly, it's amazing, and we love it, and we couldn't do this without you, and we do this for you. So much appreciated, guys, and I really hope, and gals, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you back on Friday, and can't wait to dive deep into another game, an important game, of course, coming up in Tampa Bay. So I hope everybody has a great week, and thanks for watching. Go Broncos.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate people like Roger, who I didn't talk to, but he's saying I've never been a fan of Sean Payton, too much invested now. But if I missed you earlier, Roger, I apologize. I didn't see you jump in there. But that being said, Patrick also saying aloha, hello, and goodbye as he's getting out of here as well. We're going to be getting out of here, but Trevor, Albert, why don't you start to say your goodbyes before I say finals?
So, first thing with Sean Payton, he has a 3-year plan, and the owners of the club have bought into that plan, so they know it's going to be at least a 2.5-year deal. Because if it doesn't happen next year, then we know there will be changes. But so far, it is a 3-year plan. The owners have bought it, and we have to live with it, and that is what is going to happen. And the people in the posse, excellent again. Your communication was excellent, and
amazing.
Yes, excellent. And I want to thank Paul, Michael, Graham, my lovely wife Michelle, Roy, Bernie, Phil, Kenny, Pearl, Patrick, John, Tyrone, Martin, Kurt, Roger. And guys, if you have not watched the Kenny and Kurt show yet, you should be doing that because they have an excellent show as well.
Man, talk about it because man, I'm telling you what, I don't get enough Broncos. So if you're looking for something to do tomorrow night, usually on every single Wednesday, I'm sure it'll be again this week, got to check Let's Talk Broncos out on the K&K Sports Show. If nothing else, it'll get your foot in the door, and then all of a sudden you'll be hooked on all these different K&K Sports shows. So that being said, get hooked on the Denver Bronco Roundup because we go live every Tuesday, every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. We also have this amazing post-game show that we do because we get all your guys' reactions, guys and gals. You jump in there and really make the show because, it's raw, it's real. We try not to get too upset in the moment, but sometimes sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but we'll see what this week brings. But again, make sure that you're liking us on Facebook. Make sure that you're checking us out on YouTube. Make sure that you're not only checking out Denver Bronco Roundup, but please check out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. By the way, I just dropped a brand new article over on RockyMountainSN.com. I'd love it if you go out there and check that article out as well. Post it on all the Facebook pages if you want to do a link from one of either the Rocky Mountain Sports Network or the Denver Bronco Roundup page as well. I said that I was going to do it, and I'm not going to lie. Not this time, guys. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop that link in for Morgan Trinkets. Please make sure you check out Morgan Trinkets for all your Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, and estate gold wholesale prices. Man, I'll tell you what, Posse, you guys are amazing. You guys were strong. You were in here. Love your comments. Love your questions. Love that I keep seeing more and more viewers, and it's because you're always out there liking, sharing, subscribing, and letting Broncos fans just like you know about the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. And we love it. Appreciate you being part of the posse. Thank you for all the star givers. And man, I'm telling you what, every single one of you, all your comments, all your thumbs up, all your love, all your everything keeps us going day to day, week to week. we keep stacking years now, guys, years now, and we're bringing you right along with us. So until next time, remember, keep your feet in the stirrups, keep your guns in your holsters, and of course, as always, keep the Denver Broncos in your heart. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.